What's up guys, that guy with the pencil here, back for another installment of What If Midoriya Was Confident. Last time, we had some training for Midoriya, the introduction of the rest of the big three in the first half of the sports festival. Will all of Midoriya's training pay off, and what will change with this new tournament bracket? Let's hop right into it and find out. Midoriya praises his team, looks at Todoroki and asks to talk with him. Todoroki is confused, but decides he's fine with it. Then, Midoriya drops the bombshell. He asks where Todoroki got the scar from, and why he's only using half of his true power. Todoroki goes cold, but out of respect for Midoriya in this timeline explains everything, from his siblings to Endeavor's goal to his tortured childhood and his psychologically damaged mother. Midoriya processes all the information and then asks Todoroki a question. Why hero work? Todoroki is confused and asks Midoriya what he means. Midoriya asks if Todoroki truly wanted to spite his father, why be a hero? Why not be something mundane or simple, like an accountant? Todoroki argues back with the fact that he's going to prove his father wrong by only using his mother's power. And Midoriya quirks an eyebrow. Then he asks Todoroki a simple question. What's his name? Todoroki, confused and a bit annoyed, answers, I'm Todoroki Shoto. Midoriya grins and nods. Right, so you want your mom or your dad. You're Todoroki Shoto. That means it's your quirk, your power, not your mom or your dad's either. It's all your power. Todoroki seems to break for a moment, and before the conversation can continue, they're called to the first round. However, some things have changed due to alterations in this timeline. Midoriya and Ojiro have an actual bond in this timeline, and Ojiro runs up to Midoriya. He quickly explains the whole Shinso situation, and decides to ask Midoriya, his fellow martial artist, if he should resign because he didn't get there because of his own power. Midoriya gets angry at Shinso, but then grabs Ojiro by the shoulders. He explains that Ojiro did get here because of his own power, because if he wasn't strong enough or fast enough, he would have failed. His body held up when his mind didn't, and now it's time to show the world the unstoppable combination. Ojiro grins and laughs, calling Midoriya a fantastic morale booster, and agrees to stay in the tournament. The two fist bump, and now Midoriya is angry. He knows how Shinso's quirk works, just like in the original timeline. However, now the bracket is actually wildly different due to different team orientations and chants. It starts off with Kaminari vs Shinso, then Midoriya vs Yaoyorozu, then Ojiro vs Shoji, then Shiozaki vs Asui, then Ashido vs Kirishima, Todoroki vs Sato, Sero vs Uraraka, and finally Ida vs Bakugo. Now, let us begin. Kaminari vs Shinso is a strange match. Kaminari still cannot aim his electricity, and he doesn't want to just fire off full blast because he may kill Shinso. Shinso, however, just calls Kaminari's name, and Kaminari, in all his genius and ignorance, calls what right on back. He loses all control of his body, and Shinso walks right on by him, whispering for him to run off stage in an attempt to hide his quirk. Kaminari instantly obeys and sprints full speed into a faceplant right off stage, winning Shinso the match. Shinso walks off with a grin, but Midoriya fully understands his quirk now. Midoriya vs Yaoyorozu is up next, and Yaoyorozu glares down the smiling Midoriya. She can't tell if it's an arrogant smile or a sincere one, but Midoriya just gets ready to fight, bouncing back and forth like a boxer. Yaoyorozu doesn't hold back, creating a shield and spear, and the crowd is in awe, while Midoriya isn't even really phased. He lunges in, and Yaoyorozu stabs for him, but with all his training, she's moving in slow motion, and he avoids her and socks her in the jaw, grabbing her spear. Midoriya wastes no time in bashing her over the head with the spear, dazing her fully before tripping her up. He grabs her ankle, and takes her to the edge of the ring, dropping her off. He apologizes to her, but pounds his chest and raises his right fist. First match is done. Ojiro vs Shoji is up next, and the fight is super intense. Shoji has majority of the advantages from size to strength to even range with his quirk. However, Ojiro has the skill and speed advantage, and it comes to a match of pure thought and reaction. Ojiro is forced to outmaneuver Shoji, because blocking a hit from Shoji reveals how strong Shoji is in comparison to Ojiro. The two force it through a battle of attrition, but Ojiro is slowly but surely able to dismantle Shoji. He breaks each one of Shoji's new arms and disables his extra spawn eyes, taxing Shoji's stamina while keeping his own high and maintaining a safe distance. Shoji is getting super drained, and in a last-ditch attempt charges at Ojiro. Ojiro avoids the attack with a leap and knocks Shoji out with a tail swipe, grinning proudly to the crowd as he helps his downed opponent. Shiozaki vs Asui is up next, and unlike the one-sided stomp that Shiozaki got in the original, Asui is actually a real challenge. Midoriya studies the two as they go wild, Shiozaki absolutely dominating the stage with her expansive hair, hands clasped tight as she tears through the arena. Asui instantly takes to the air, using her superior speed, dexterity, and strength. Shiozaki's defenses are strong and fast, whipping him to block whenever Asui would get even remotely close to tagging the human body in the forest of vines. Asui is thinking hard, looking for an opening while slowly shifting to defense. Shiozaki notices the falter in her offense, and the stalwart defense suddenly shifts into a ferocious attack. Asui is shocked but remains calm, and the frog girl is experimenting with something. She stomps a vine, and when she feels no pain, she sees how the vines are not rooted into the ground anymore, and she realizes she can actually force Shiozaki to stumble now. Asui lets the vines encircle her, as if they're about to trap her, but she uses them as a springboard. She launches hard, and as Shiozaki goes to create a shield from her hair, Asui flips in midair and stomps Shiozaki into the ground, and she couldn't even root fast enough. and he slams into her hard enough that her own vines slam into her, and cuts her arms drastically and send her flying back. Also, he leaps back, and Shiozaki pulls her vines back to reveal that she is drastically cut up. Blood drips from her forehead, clouding her vision, and Asui tells her to relent. Shiozaki refuses, and tightly grips her hand and goes to attack Asui. But she is drastically slower than before, and Asui lunges in, kicking her again. However, Shiozaki is rooted now, so the kick only incapacitated her. Asui steps back, and the Vine Girl is held there by a crown of thorns, hands still held firm. And she is defeated. Asui turns away, walking away with a triumphant smile. Ashido vs. Kirishima is up next, and Kirishima grins. Here, we actually get a hint to their shared background in this fight, both talking about how they're making their middle school proud. The two warriors jump into a heated battle, and we get an intense bout of offense versus defense. Kirishima's defense is great, and his offensive power isn't bad either, just that his speed is drastically lacking in comparison to Ashido, who in comparison is a blur with great reaction speed and good offensive power. She's dodging every one of Kirishima's attacks, while throwing out acid that Kirishima cannot dodge. He's able to take all of it for a while, but like in canon, his fully hardened state can't hold up to Ashido's consistent and lingering offense and her acid, like he couldn't stand up to Bakugo in the original. He begins to burn, and Ashido finishes him with a punch to the jaw. Kirishima passes out, and Ashido cheers about her win. Todoroki vs. Sato is actually a lot harder than one would expect, as Todoroki, like in canon, is visited and angered by Endeavor, so he tries to hold bury his opponent in a Flash Mountain of Ice thing. However, Sato flexes free due to his quirk, and Todoroki is shocked, but being blinded by rage and sporadic thoughts coursing through his head caused by Midoriya's conversation, he blasts off again with ice. Sato is just a wall of power though, and swings against the torrent of ice, punching through it and approaching Todoroki. Todoroki is beginning to shiver, but doesn't care and roars out more ice, actually stabbing into Sato, who forces himself through the pain with a roar of determination. Todoroki begins to feel the heat raise from his left side, his body itching to release into a wild torrent of flame. His body, his power. However, Todoroki refuses, fusing the fire as Sato charges, and Todoroki inhales frosty air, drinking in logic and common sense, and realizing that he can outthink the brutish Sato. As the Berserker charges, Todoroki uses the last of his ice to form a ramp, which Sato charges up and right on over Todoroki, his brain capacity drastically lowered from using his quirk for so long, and he charges right out of the arena, causing a ring out. Todoroki isn't happy though, and reluctantly thaws himself out. Sora vs. Uraraka is actually a one-sided stomp in Uraraka's favor, as she avoids the tape attack, runs up, tags him, and launches him out of the ring with ease. The audience is shocked, but cheers regardless. The final match is the most intense, as it is Ida vs. Bakugo, and both have a burning desire to win. Ida uses his dominant speed to pressure Bakugo massively, Bakugo barely warding him off with the massive explosions he's creating, which are also knocking himself around and starting to hurt his palms. However, Ida easily has the offensive advantage, and each time he is forced to redirect, he turns on his heel and keeps building gears and speed. Bakugo realizes that he has no chance against a top speed Ida, and decides if he can take a hit from his current speed. Ida appears and reels back, kicking straight through Bakugo's guard and sending him flying into the air. Bakugo's mouth instantly begins to bleed, and he forces himself to fire off into the air. Ida doesn't really care, still sprinting along and gaining speed. Bakugo is trying to figure out a way to defeat Ida, and he glares at the ground and realizes his solution. Ida needs the ground. He flips in midair with a burst, and begins to spin down with extreme force, roaring out howitzer impact. Ida dodges, but the stage is annihilated. Bakugo is breathing heavy, his hands killing him, but he has stopped Ida, his main goal, due to the destroyed stage. Ida is annoyed and asks Midnight if the destroyed ring is out of bounds, and Midnight clarifies that only the borders of the stage qualify for in and out of bounds. Ida smiles nervously at that fact, and looks at the practical rubble that is the stage. He steels himself and lunges in for a hard sprint, and Bakugo readies himself. He's able to react to Ida, but he can't explode just yet due to overuse of his quirk. He notices that Ida's leg, which he blocks, is extremely hot. Bakugo rolls, but due to the attack being blocked and the messy terrain and quirk abuse, Ida is unable to maintain and build his speed. He is cursing the fact that he may have to use his trump card after all. Remember, in this timeline, Ida was never forced to use his Recipro Burst. He knows he must not let this fight drag on much longer, lest his legs combust, so he kneels down as Bakugo flexes his hands, sweat dripping from his brow with a crazy grin. Ida's legs burst with a blue nitrous flame as he roars out, "Recipro Burst!" Bakugo instantly slams his hands down to the ground and he fires into the air, and Ida misses just barely, but due to his lack of firm ground to stop on and his extreme speed that he's not used to, he rushes out of bounds. Bakugo lands hard, but inbounds, and wins. Ida is stalled and overheated, but to his shock, Bakugo walks over and extends a hand to Ida, and the two walk off. Midoriya vs. Shinso is next, and Midoriya still has a smile, but beneath the surface he's boiling with rage, knowing how his friends were used and abused by this guy. And unlike in the original timeline, Midoriya is actually smart and keeps his mouth sealed shut. Also, Shinso really has nothing to poke at with Midoriya in this timeline. Midoriya has no quirk, no drastic power that everyone loves. He's just an outcast of society, like Shinso, except unlike Shinso, Midoriya was always powerless. Shinso got to where he was quite literally on the shoulders of others, while Midoriya's success comes from his years and years of training and hard work with others. He purposely dismantles Shinso in the name of Ojiro. He hits Shinso hard, but not hard enough to KO. Shinso is screaming at him, everything from insults to explicatives to try to activate his quirk, but the stone-faced Midoriya, who feels very little pity for Shinso, just ruthlessly tears into him. Midoriya lets Shinso swing at him, but Midoriya easily sidesteps and knocks Shinso down. Shinso is bruised and beaten, and Midoriya squats down, then grabs Shinso by the ankles, drags him to the edge of the ring, and throws him out. Finally, as the crowd is silent, Midoriya sighs. He explains that he finds Shinso disrespectful, unheroic, and a bit foolish. Midoriya explains how Shinso is using other people as a tool is not the right way to do things, not the true way of a hero, and playing into the stereotype that society has set up to him. He doesn't want to see someone else fall to the grips of a negative world like he once almost did. Shinso is quiet, but upon hearing the cheers of his general ed classmates, he begins to let tears stream down his face. Midoriya grins and walks, turning off to see to the other side of the stage, pounding his chest and raising his fist to the sky. Shinso rises slowly and calls out to Midoriya, saying he'll become the greatest hero the world has ever seen and that he'll surpass Midoriya one day. Midoriya still does not respond, but he does raise a thumbs up. Ojiro vs. Asui is up next, and Ojiro verbally thanks Midoriya in the stands for restoring his pride and honor. Asui is intrigued and notes to ask Midoriya about it later. However, the two animal mutants square off, and another ferocious battle begins. Ojiro has the drastic skill advantage, but Asui once again has the power advantage, and this time the range with her tongue. Ojiro is forced to think harder and harder, as the pressure being put on by Asui is really good. However, Asui is shocked to find that Ojiro is pretty easily able to read her, and is using minimal movements to conserve his stamina and drain Asui's. Asui realizes this and goes in with a stomp, preparing to launch her tongue alongside her initial attack. Ojiro easily avoids the stomp, yet is ensnared by the tongue. Ojiro is unable to avoid the next leaping kick, and he barely blocks it with his tail. Asui has found a hole, and Ojiro grins, and the two fight super close range now. Asui is relying more and more on kicks, and she's lacking in upper body strength relative to her lower body. Ojiro abuses this and manages to predict her next kick and tongue lash, grabbing her tongue and wrapping his tail around her leg. With a hard stomp, he throws it to the edge of the ring. Before Asui could recover, Ojiro tackles her off stage, and Asui loses just barely. Ashido vs. Todoroki is just as difficult for Todoroki as Sato was, surprisingly enough. Todoroki's cold slightly slows down Ashido's acid production, but her modified shoes, good reaction speed, and Todoroki's still distracted mindset all serve to make Todoroki struggle against the alien queen. Todoroki is more careful with his ice creation to try and extend his time, but Ashido is casually avoiding whatever he throws out, and begins to skate towards Todoroki with her acid and his ice. Todoroki, once she gets close enough, lashes out with a massive ice barrage, and Ashido is caught in it. However, in a few moments, she melted a massive gaping hole in the ice with the most potent acid, burning up a bit. Todoroki is shocked and is starting to freeze up himself, but does not stop, trying to follow his goal and ignore Midoriya's words. However, as Ashido uses the ice to cool down a bit and keep pressuring Todoroki, Todoroki's raging spirit starts to stir up his flames, and Ashido skates aggressively towards him. Todoroki winces as he feels himself begin to melt, and as Ashido reaches out with an acid hand, Todoroki quickly changes the ice path that Ashido is skating on right off stage, and Ashido can't stop as she's funneled right on out. However, Todoroki is still trembling in rage. Midoriya was right. Uraraka vs. Bakugo is next, and it goes similar to as in canon, but different. Uraraka allows Bakugo to destroy the stage, but instead of just floating them into the air to drop them on him, she grabs slabs of concrete of various sizes and activates her quirk on them, and lobs them at Bakugo. Bakugo destroys them, but gets a slab of concrete to the face because he clouds his vision just a moment too long. Bakugo reels back and is slammed by another piece of concrete, and another, until he blindly blasts out a massive explosion. Uraraka runs back and takes the new ammunition and launches it again. Bakugo, bloodied but finding himself grinning, lunges in, destroying more rubble with a constant stream of explosions. The smoke cloud is gigantic, but through it he can see a silhouette. He lunges in with an explosive palm and detonates a jacket. Uraraka leaps up from the ground, using the light of the explosion to guide her into a grab, and she made Bakugo weightless and launched him out of the arena. Bakugo freaks out and instantly fires off to stop himself, only to get a slab of concrete slammed directly into his stomach. He can't hesitate though, and quickly fires behind him, and Uraraka throws another slab as he zooms forward. As Bakugo goes to detonate it, he drops like a rock because Uraraka accidentally deactivated her quirk on him, using the slab she threw as a cover. Bakugo is shocked, and as he drops, he lunges forward with more explosion, but is forced to swallow another slab of concrete. Bakugo is filled with a mix of bloodlust and excitement, blasting himself upwards into the air. As Uraraka launches her remaining ammunition, Bakugo lunges forward. Uraraka freaks, launching two more slabs, which instantly get destroyed, and she sprints to avoid the impact. Bakugo once again roars out howitzer impact. The explosion is massive and misses for the most part, but the raw force pushes Uraraka to the edge of the ring. Bakugo lunges out of the massive smoke cloud, places two explosive hands on Uraraka's stomach, and blasts her into the wall. Uraraka slams against the stadium wall, badly damaged but still alive and awake. Midnight calls an end to the match by ring out, but Bakugo is angry. He wants to finish the fight, true combat until one of them is down. Midnight tells him no, and he growls, about to go argue back as the heroes try to rag on him for wanting to beat down on a girl. Similar to in canon, Aizawa comes in to break the failures of the heroes as Bakugo's adrenaline begins to fade. The two combatants stumble toward one another. "Oi, round face, where'd you learn to fight like that?" Bakugo asks, helping her stand and hobble off. "Hugh," Uraraka admits, and the two stumble away. Once again, the stage is under repairs, so Midoriya goes and visits Bakugo. He wants to see Todoroki use his full power against Bakugo, as he knows Bakugo will be the only one strong enough to actually unleash Todoroki's flames. However, he can't just tell Bakugo to force Todoroki to evolve. He basically has to trick Bakugo, and he does. He plays to the fact that even if Bakugo beats the current Todoroki, he'll only be beating someone at half their full power, making it a fluke. This fires Bakugo up, even though he's still in pain from all his previous fights. He barks at Midoriya that he's going to beat Todoroki at full power, nothing less, and Midoriya shrugs it off and walks off, but before Bakugo can go kill him, Recovery Girl holds him back. The stage is repaired, and the two combatants go on up. Ojiro versus Midoriya. The two grin at one another, and as Midnight's about to call for them to begin, Midoriya calls out, "Stretch break!" Ojiro laughs, but the two legitimately start stretching, confusing the crowd and making Togata laugh. After around a minute, they'll stop and look at an annoyed Midnight, who calls for them to begin. Midoriya waits for Ojiro to charge in, and the battle truly starts. Midoriya, much to Ojiro's shock, is actually way faster than him in combat speed. This is due to all the hardcore combat training from the Big Three, who are proud about his development. On top of the new combat speed gap, Midoriya's fighting style has developed massively. While Ojiro is much like Midoriya was when he first fought Togata, a very skilled basic combatant, a near master in all the styles he knows, Midoriya is now like Togata, mixing in and using multiple styles in seconds, holding the upper hand. He's wasting Ojiro's stamina while damaging him, and after a long intense battle, an elbow to the head knocks Ojiro out. Midoriya knows that if he hadn't gotten all that extra training, he definitely would have lost to Ojiro here. Regardless, he pounds his chest and raises his fist, getting a roaring cheer. Bakugo vs Todoroki is up next, and Bakugo snarls at Todoroki. He demands that Todoroki uses fire, and Todoroki initially ignores him. He goes to freeze Bakugo, and to his absolute shock, Bakugo easily blows it up. Bakugo may be a bit tired from the necessary healing, but he, like in canon, is raring to fight a max power Todoroki. He's also slightly stronger than his canon self, as being beaten by Midoriya earlier has angered him even further and forced him to train harder, so Todoroki with ice is just a joke to him. He keeps calling Todoroki out on him holding back, not even really moving to stop Todoroki's assault, which is slowly disabling Todoroki. He then does something that makes Midoriya grin like crazy. "Come on, half and half! Use your power already!" Bakugo demands. Todoroki hears it again. His power. His power. His power! He roars out in a burst of flames, thawing his frozen half and searing the very ground he stands on. Bakugo grins and laughs, pointing at Midoriya and calling him out. Midoriya just points back at Todoroki, who has launched a pillar of flame. Bakugo barely dodges and the real fight begins. It is extremely intense, but now it's evenly matched. Bakugo is able to react to the ice and fire raining down on him, avoiding most of it, using the increased heat to his advantage to create an even larger explosion with more sweat. Then Todoroki counters with increasingly massive ice flows and fire plumes. Bakugo is having the time of his life, sweating up a storm and blasting his palms to oblivion and back just to approach Todoroki, who would either respond by creating a massive glacier to trap Bakugo or a towering wall of flame to incinerate him. The audience is losing their minds at the intense battle between two titanic powers. However, as the fight rages on, their different experiences throughout the day begin to wear on them. Todoroki has only truly been pushed quirk-wise in all his fights, never actually taking massive damage head-on. Bakugo has not only been pushed quirk-wise, but he's needed to use Recovery Girl's healing to even continue to fight after his fight with Ida, who gave him multiple fractures, and especially Uraraka, who gave him a few broken ribs and a concussion. He was not only tired from healing, but his body was also beating back at his mind for so much quirk use and soreness. Bakugo is wearing down faster than he can wear down Todoroki, and Bakugo knows this, and a howitzer impact would be too risky, as he'd be full firing right into a plume of flame. Bakugo grits his teeth and concentrates, collecting a lot of sweat to his palms, and he opens his arms wide. Todoroki, realizing what's about to happen, grins almost maniacally as he spawns an ice tunnel. This would be their big finale. Todoroki rears back with his left arm, and thrusts forward with a final stream of flame, and a quiet "thank you." Bakugo finally claps his hands together, knowing the recoil would most likely send him flying, and he angles himself. Little did either know, the massive imbalance between cold and hot creates a tornado even more grand than the original. Like in canon, a word Cementos is unable to stop the two attacks from clashing. The dust cloud is massive, but when it settles, everyone is glancing at the stage. Neither combatant is there, and to everyone's shock, both combatants are out of bounds and embedded in the stadium walls, and both are knocked out. Everyone is shocked, and Midnight considers the situation in her head. There is no way to tell who was knocked out first or who touched outside the ring first. It's a double loss. She calls this out, as any second round may just result in further destruction, and the crowd, after a few moments of confusion, still cheers for the great fight. Midoriya is a bit disappointed, but he was happy to help Todoroki. And, on the bright side, he'll be able to face Todoroki later, at his full power. Midoriya is declared as the winner of the sports festival, and the medal ceremony happens. Ojiro is actually in third, and All Might gives him his medal. The two bow to one another, and All Might talks directly to Ojiro. He says he is a fantastic combatant, but he must learn to branch out and get creative. Ojiro solemnly thanks All Might for the advice, and accepts All Might's hug. Todoroki and Bakugo, both healed and Bakugo extremely tired, stand a good distance apart from one another on the second place spot. All Might addresses Bakugo first, and makes it quick so Bakugo doesn't pass out from standing there. He says that he did a fantastic job, and while he did not keep his promise from the beginning of the festival, he still did great against tough opponents all throughout the event. Bakugo, too tired to argue back, grumbles a thanks and accepts the hug, and then focuses his remaining strength on glaring at Midoriya. All Might then moves to a silent Todoroki and grins. He congratulates Todoroki on his awakening, and hopes that he does many great things with his power. He hugs him, and tells him to come find him or a friend if he ever wants to talk. The youngest Todoroki hugs him back tightly, a few tears falling. Finally, there's Midoriya. Midoriya is a bit nervous, but is still smiling and happy. All Might, after seeing all he did today, really wants to make him successor, but is still torn. He congratulates Midoriya and warns him of the dangers of overconfidence. Midoriya solemnly understands and nods. Everyone is congratulated, and the tournament concludes. However, one student isn't happy. They just got some bad news, and they're filled with a desperate need for revenge. And that's where we're ending it off, folks. Get ready for a massive diversion from the original timeline. As for the next part, we're covering the Hosu arc. Tell me in the comments what you think about this part. What effect do you think that the very different battles and different results on the tournament are going to have on the story? This is That Guy with the Pencil, writing off.